Have you ever planned the perfect vacation, saved every penny for months, only to have your family completely hijack it for someone else? That was exactly me last spring. I had booked this absolutely amazing ocean view suite in Myrtle Beach after working my tail off for a whole year straight. I could already picture myself lying on that warm, sandy beach with a fruity cocktail, no stress, no drama whatsoever. But I had absolutely no idea my family had completely different plans for my precious hard-earned getaway. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know in the comments where you are watching from, and please hit that like button and subscribe because trust me, you are going to want to hear how I handled this situation. The ending will completely shock you. Let me start by painting you a picture of my family dynamics because without understanding this, nothing else will make sense. My name is Jessica, and I am 29 years old working as a marketing coordinator in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am the middle child in what you might call a classically dysfunctional family setup. My older sister Madison is 32, and she has always been the golden child. She has 3 kids from her previous marriage, and my parents absolutely worship the ground she walks on, because according to them, being a single mom is the hardest job in the world. Then there is my younger brother Brandon, who is 26 and still lives at home with our parents. He gets away with absolutely everything because he is the baby of the family and apparently can do no wrong. Meanwhile, I am the reliable one, the one who always takes care of everyone else, the one who shows up when things go wrong, and the one who never gets any recognition for it. My parents, Richard and Patricia, have this weird way of always making me feel like I should be grateful for having an easier life than Madison. Every time I try to talk about my own struggles or accomplishments, it somehow always circles back to how difficult things are for Madison and how I should be more understanding and supportive. It has been this way for as long as I can remember. So when I finally decided to treat myself to a real vacation, I was beyond excited. I had been working at this marketing firm for 3 years, pulling long hours handling difficult clients, and I had not taken a real vacation since I started. I spent 8 months carefully saving money from every paycheck, cutting back on dinners, out shopping, and basically every little luxury I normally enjoyed. I researched resorts for weeks before settling on this beautiful ocean view suite at a 4-star resort in Myrtle Beach. The pictures online showed this gorgeous room with a private balcony overlooking the ocean, a massive jetted tub, and access to all the resort amenities. I booked spa treatments, made dinner reservations at the fancy restaurant on the property, and even planned a sunset sailing excursion. This was going to be my perfect getaway. 5 days of pure relaxation sleeping in, until whenever I wanted lounging by the pool, with a good book getting massages, and just being completely selfish with my time for once in my life. I had been dreaming about this trip for months, and I was so excited that I could not help but share my plans with my family. That turned out to be my first mistake. The phone call came on a Tuesday evening exactly 2 weeks before my departure date. I was at home going through my vacation checklist and feeling that familiar flutter of excitement in my stomach when my phone rang. It was my mother Patricia, and her voice had that particular tone that I had learned to recognize over the years. It was the tone that meant she wanted something from me, but she was going to approach it like she was doing me a favor by asking. "Hi, honey," she said, drawing out the words in that overly sweet way that immediately put me on guard. "How are you doing? I was just thinking about you and wanted to check in." I should have known right then that something was up. My mother does not just call to check in. She calls when she needs something, when there is family drama, or when she wants to guilt me into doing something I do not want to do. "I am fine, Mom," I replied cautiously, "just getting ready for my trip next week." "Oh, yes, your trip," she said, and I could practically hear her gearing up for whatever she was about to say. "That is actually what I wanted to talk to you about. You know your sister has been having such a difficult time lately." Here we go, I thought. Whatever was coming next, I already knew I was not going to like it. Madison has been completely overwhelmed with the kids and work, and she had what I can only describe as a complete breakdown yesterday. She called me sobbing, saying she feels like she is drowning and desperately needs a break. The poor thing has not had a vacation in over 2 years, Jessica. Can you imagine? I could feel the manipulation starting already, but I tried to stay neutral. "That sounds really stressful for her." "It is, honey, and I was thinking, You know Madison needs this vacation so much more than you do right now. She has 3 children depending on her, and the stress is really taking a toll on her mental health. I was wondering if maybe you could be the amazing sister I know you are and let Madison use your reservation instead." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I sat there in stunned silence for a moment, trying to process what she had just asked. My vacation. The vacation I had planned and saved for and dreamed about for months. She wanted me to just hand it over to Madison. "Mom, I have been planning this trip for 8 months," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I have been saving every penny, and I have been looking forward to it more than anything." "I know, sweetheart, and I am so proud of you for being responsible and saving your money. But you have to understand Madison is in crisis right now. She needs this break, and honestly, you are young and single. You can take a vacation anytime. Madison has responsibilities." There it was, the familiar refrain. Madison has responsibilities, so everyone else needs to accommodate her. Madison has it harder, so everyone else should sacrifice for her. Madison needs help, so Jessica should drop everything and fix it. "Besides," my mother continued, "your father is having his knee surgery next week, and it would be such a huge help if you could stay here and help me take care of him while he recovers. You know how he gets when he is laid up." I wanted to scream. I wanted to hang up the phone and pretend this conversation never happened. But instead, I found myself falling into the same pattern I had been trapped in my entire life. I started to actually consider it. Maybe Mom was right. Maybe Madison did need this vacation more than me. Maybe I was being selfish by wanting to keep my own plans when my sister was struggling. Maybe being a good daughter and sister meant sacrificing what I wanted for the good of the family. Before I could respond, my mother played her ace card. "Honey, I thought you cared about family. I thought you would want to help your sister when she really needs it. I guess I was wrong about the kind of person you are." That stung. It stung because it was designed to sting, and because some small part of me actually believed it might be true. Was I selfish for wanting to keep my vacation? Was I a bad sister for not immediately offering to help Madison? I told my mother I would think about it and call her back, but I could hear the disappointment in her voice when I did not immediately agree. After I hung up, I sat there feeling sick to my stomach. The excitement I had been feeling about my trip was completely gone, replaced by guilt and confusion. But the pressure campaign was just getting started. The next morning, I woke up to a text message from Brandon. "Hey sis, heard about Madison. You should really consider letting her have your vacation. It would mean the world to her, and you know you can always plan another trip later. Be the bigger person here." Then, around lunchtime, my phone rang again. This time it was Madison herself, and she was crying before I even said hello. "Jessica, I am so sorry Mom asked you this." She sobbed into the phone. "I told her not to, but I am just so desperate. I feel like I am losing my mind. The kids have been impossible lately. Work has been a nightmare, and I just need a few days to remember who I am outside of being a mom and employee. You are my only hope, Jess. You are the only one who can help me right now." Hearing my sister cry like that broke my heart. Despite everything, despite the way my family had always treated our relationship, I still loved Madison. I still wanted her to be happy and healthy, and she sounded genuinely desperate. "I know it is asking a lot," she continued, "and I know you were really looking forward to this trip, but I promise I will make it up to you. I will pay you back for everything, and maybe we can plan a sister's trip later in the year. Please, Jessica, I am begging you." After that phone call, I felt even worse. Madison had not tried to manipulate me the way our mother had. She seemed genuinely grateful and apologetic, and she had promised to pay me back and plan another trip together. Maybe this could actually work out okay. Then, my father called that evening. "Jessica, your mother told me about the situation with your sister and your vacation," he said in his serious fatherly voice. "I want you to know that I think what your mother is asking is completely reasonable. Madison is struggling right now, and family takes care of family. Your sister needs this vacation for her mental health, and I think it would be really selfish of you not to help her when she needs it most." That word. Selfish. It kept coming up, and every time someone said it, I felt smaller and more ashamed of wanting to keep my own vacation. "Plus," he added, I really could use your help during my recovery next week. Your mother has her hands full already, and it would mean a lot to both of us if you were here." By the end of that conversation, I felt completely cornered. My entire family was telling me that helping Madison was the right thing to do and that keeping my vacation would be selfish and uncaring. I felt like I was standing alone against everyone I loved, and the weight of their disappointment was crushing. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling more alone than I had ever felt in my life. My family was supposed to support me, but instead, they were all pressuring me to give up something that meant a lot to me. And the worst part was that they were making me feel like a terrible person for even hesitating. The next morning, I made the decision that would change everything, though I did not know it at the time. I called the resort and transferred my reservation to Madison. When I hung up the phone, I felt empty and defeated, but I told myself I was doing the right thing. Madison was so grateful when I called to tell her. She cried happy tears and kept saying how much she loved me and how she would never forget this. She promised again that she would pay me back and that we would plan an amazing sisters trip soon. For a moment, hearing how happy she was, I actually felt good about my decision. My parents were thrilled, of course. They praised me for being such a wonderful daughter and sister for being mature and selfless. Brandon sent me a text saying he was proud of me for doing the right thing. For the first time in a long time, I felt like the whole family was happy with me. But as the week went on and my original departure date got closer, I felt increasingly hollow. I tried to focus on the positive aspects. I would be helping my father during his recovery. I would be saving Madison from her crisis, and I would be proving to my family that I was a good person who put others first. The night before Madison was supposed to leave for my vacation, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about the ocean view suite I would never see, the spa treatments I would never experience, and the peaceful days by the beach that I would never have. But I pushed those feelings down and reminded myself that I was doing this for love. Madison left early Thursday morning, and I went over to my parents' house to help with my father, who had his surgery that same day. The surgery went well, but he was grumpy and demanding during his recovery, just like my mother had predicted. I spent the day running errands, picking up prescriptions, and making sure he was comfortable. That evening, while my father was napping and my mother was making dinner, I decided to check social media to distract myself from thinking about what I was missing. I opened Instagram and immediately saw that Madison had posted a story from the resort. She was standing on the balcony of my ocean view suite, holding a mimosa and smiling at the camera. "Finally here and already feeling so much better," read the caption. "Sometimes you just need to get away from it all." I felt a pang of jealousy, but I reminded myself that this was exactly what Madison needed. She looked happy and relaxed, and that was what mattered. But as I kept watching her stories throughout the day, something started to feel off. In one video, she was at the pool, and I could hear children laughing and playing in the background. That made sense since she had brought her 3 kids. But then I saw a quick glimpse of what looked like 2 other children who were clearly not hers. In another story, she posted a picture of an elaborate dinner spread at the resort restaurant with the caption, "So grateful for this amazing meal." But there were 6 place settings at the table, and I counted 3 adult drinks and 3 kids' drinks. Madison had 3 children, which should have been 4 people total. Why were there 6 place settings? The next morning, Friday, Madison posted a story that made my blood run cold. It was a video of someone taking a picture of her and all 5 children by the pool. 5 children. Madison only had 3. And the person behind the camera was clearly a man based on his hands and the sound of his voice saying, "Say cheese beautiful." I stared at my phone screen trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Madison had not just brought her 3 children on my vacation. She had brought someone else, a man, and apparently his children too. I felt sick. This was not the desperate single mother escape that everyone had described. This was not Madison taking her kids on a much-needed mental health break. This was Madison taking her new boyfriend and his children on a family vacation using my reservation and my sacrifice. I tried calling her, but the call went straight to voicemail. I tried texting, but she did not respond. I spent the entire day feeling angry and confused, wondering if I was overreacting or if I had a right to be upset. That evening, Madison finally called me back. "Hey, Jessica," she said, and I could hear music and laughter in the background. Sorry I missed your calls earlier. We were at this amazing wine tasting event at the resort. What is up? Madison. I said, trying to keep my voice calm. I saw your Instagram stories. Who else is there with you? There was a pause, and the background noise got quieter, like she had moved somewhere more private. Oh, that, she said, and I could hear the defensiveness creeping into her voice already. I brought Derek and his kids. Derek is this amazing guy I have been seeing for a few weeks. He has 2 children, and they get along so well with mine. I thought this would be a great chance for all of us to spend time together and see how we work as a blended family. I was speechless. Derek, a guy she had been seeing for a few weeks. She had turned my vacation into a trial run for playing house with some new boyfriend. Madison, when you and Mom asked me to give up my vacation, you made it sound like you were having a breakdown and desperately needed alone time to recover. I said, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. I was having a hard time, she shot back. And Derek has been so supportive. He suggested that maybe a vacation would help me feel better, and when I told him about your reservation, he offered to come along and help with the kids. His kids were so excited to go to the beach, and it seemed like the perfect opportunity for all of us. Did Derek pay for any of this? I asked, already knowing the answer would make me even angrier. Well, yes, actually. He paid for his and his kids' meals and activities, and he has been so generous. He even paid for the wine tasting tonight and this amazing couples massage I booked for tomorrow. I know I said I would pay you back, but honestly, Derek is taking care of most of the expenses, so I might not need to. I could not believe what I was hearing. Not only had Madison turned my vacation into her romantic getaway, but she was also backing out of her promise to pay me back because her new boyfriend was footing the bill. Madison, do you realize how messed up this is? I asked, my voice shaking with anger now. I gave up my vacation because you said you were in crisis. You made it sound like you desperately needed this break for your mental health. You promised you would pay me back. And now you are telling me this is actually a romantic getaway with some guy you have been dating for a few weeks. Look, Jessica, I know you are upset, but you need to understand something, Madison said, and her tone shifted to something colder and more condescending. I do deserve to be happy. I have been through a terrible divorce. I am raising 3 children, mostly on my own, and I work full-time to support us. When I meet someone who makes me feel good about myself and wants to treat me well, I am not going to apologize for that. This is not about you being happy, I protested. This is about you lying to me and to our parents about what this vacation was really about. I did not lie, she snapped. I was stressed and I needed a break. Derek helping me relax and feel better does not change that. Besides, you would not know what to do with a man anyway, so it is not like you were going to meet anyone on this trip. That comment hit me like a slap across the face. It was cruel and unnecessary, and it revealed exactly what Madison really thought of me. In her mind, I was the sad single sister who had no life of her own, so I could afford to sacrifice for her happiness. I cannot believe you just said that to me, I whispered. So, look, Jessica, I am sorry if your feelings are hurt, but this is reality. I have responsibilities and a life that is more complicated than yours. Sometimes that means other people have to make sacrifices. That is just how family works. After that conversation, I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. This was not my sister having a mental health crisis. This was my sister using my sacrifice as an opportunity to play house with her new boyfriend, and she felt completely entitled to do it. But the absolute worst part was still coming. I thought nothing could make me feel worse than that phone call with Madison, but I was wrong. The next day, Saturday, she posted a video that broke something inside me. It was a video of all 6 of them, Madison, Derek, and all 5 children sitting around a bonfire on the beach at sunset. They were singing a song, and it took me a moment to recognize what it was. Then my heart stopped. They were singing Dreams on the Water, a song I had written during my senior year of college. It was a silly little song about hopes and aspirations, and I had played it for my family at my graduation party. Madison had always said she loved it, and apparently she had taught it to Derek and his children. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was Derek's comment under the video, "Too bad the original songwriter could not join us for this beautiful moment." Derek knew. Madison had told Derek that I had written the song, and Derek was making a joke about the fact that I was not there. They were sitting on the beach that should have been mine in the sunset, that should have been mine singing my song and laughing about the fact that I had sacrificed my vacation for their romantic getaway. In the video, I could see my entire family laughing and having a wonderful time. The children looked happy, Madison looked radiant, and Derek looked like he was enjoying playing the role of the generous provider who had swooped in to save the day. And there I was, sitting in my parents' living room, taking care of my grumpy father while they lived it up on my dime. But that was not even the end of it. As I watched more of Madison's posts throughout the day, I started to notice some things about Derek that made me uncomfortable. He looked familiar, but I could not place where I had seen him before. So I did what any curious person would do in the social media age. I looked him up. What I found made my blood boil. Derek Morrison was married, not divorced, not separated, married, to a woman named Angela who had been posting on her own social media about how her husband had disappeared with their 2 children and she did not know where they were. Angela's posts were desperate and heartbroken. She was asking anyone who had seen Derek or the kids to contact her immediately. I took screenshots of everything. Derek's Facebook profile, which still listed him as married to Angela. Angela's posts about her missing husband and children. Derek's own posts from the weeks leading up to the trip where he had been commenting flirtatiously on other women's photos. This man was not the savior that Madison thought he was. He was a cheating husband who had convinced my sister to help him take his wife's children on a vacation while his wife sat at home not knowing where her babies were. And Madison had no idea. I tried calling her to warn her, but she did not answer. I tried texting her the screenshots, but she did not respond. It was like she had decided to go completely dark on family communication now that she was living her best life on my vacation. That night, I lay in bed thinking about everything that had happened. My family had manipulated me into giving up something I had worked hard for and been excited about. Madison had lied about why she needed the vacation and then made cruel comments about my personal life when I confronted her. And now she was unknowingly helping a married man commit what was essentially kidnapping. I felt angry, hurt, and completely powerless. But mostly, I felt stupid. I felt stupid for believing that my family actually cared about my feelings or respected me as a person. I felt stupid for thinking that doing the right thing would somehow be rewarded or appreciated. That was when I realized that I had not told you the whole truth at the beginning of this story. I said my family had hijacked my vacation plans, and that was true. But what I did not tell you was that I had seen this coming from a mile away. See, I had been watching my family dynamics for 29 years, and I knew exactly how this kind of thing worked. I knew that whenever Madison wanted something, everyone else was expected to sacrifice for her. I knew that whenever there was a family crisis, I was the one who was expected to fix it. And I knew that no matter what I gave up or how much I helped, it would never be enough and it would never be appreciated. So 3 months before Madison even called about needing my vacation, I had booked a second trip. I had used a savings account that my parents did not know about, one that I had opened at a different bank specifically for emergencies and secret plans. I had booked a gorgeous cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains for the same week that Madison would be coming back from Myrtle Beach. It was a cozy, romantic place with a fireplace, a hot tub on the deck, and trails for hiking. I had planned it as a backup just in case my family tried to ruin my beach vacation. I had hoped I would not need it, but some part of me had known that I probably would. And now, sitting in my parents' house listening to my father complain about his pain medication while my sister lived it up on my beach vacation with her married boyfriend, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was going to let Madison finish her vacation. I was going to let my parents think I was the good daughter who had sacrificed for the family. And then, the day Madison came home, I was going to disappear. But first I had some phone calls to make. I started with Derek's wife, Angela. I found her number through a mutual friend on social media, and when she answered, she sounded exhausted and desperate. "Angela, you do not know me, but I have information about your husband Derek and your children," I said. "Oh my God, are they okay?" "Where are they?" she asked, and I could hear her starting to cry. "They are safe," I told her. "But Derek is not who he said he was when he left. He is at a resort in Myrtle Beach with another woman, and he told her that he was divorced." I sent Angela all the screenshots I had taken, including the location of the resort and photos that clearly showed Derek and their children. Angela was grateful and said she was going to drive down to Myrtle Beach immediately with the police. "Thank you so much for calling me," she said. "I have been out of my mind with worry." After I hung up with Angela, I felt a mixture of satisfaction and nervousness. Derek's affair and lies were about to be exposed, which meant Madison's perfect vacation was about to turn into a nightmare. Part of me felt bad for her, but a bigger part of me felt like she deserved whatever was coming. The next morning, Sunday, I told my parents that I was going to run some errands and might be gone for most of the day. My father was feeling better and did not really need constant care anymore, so my mother said that was fine. Instead of running errands, I drove to the cabin I had secretly booked in the mountains. It was even more beautiful in person than it had been in the photos. The cabin was tucked into a grove of pine trees with a view of rolling mountains in the distance. It was peaceful and private and absolutely perfect. I spent the day hiking on the trails near the cabin, breathing in the fresh mountain air and feeling more relaxed than I had in months. For the first time since this whole vacation drama started, I felt like myself again. That evening, as I sat in the hot tub on the deck, watching the sunset over the mountains, my phone started buzzing with missed calls and text messages. I ignored them all. Whatever crisis was happening back home could wait until I was ready to deal with it. I spent the most peaceful 4 days of my life in that mountain cabin. I hiked every morning, read books by the fireplace, cooked simple meals, and soaked in the hot tub under the stars. I met other hikers on the trails, and for the first time in forever, I had conversations with people who did not know anything about my family drama or expect anything from me. There was this older couple, Frank and Marie, who had been coming to the area for 20 years. They invited me to join them for coffee at a little cafe in town, and we spent hours talking about books and travel and life. They treated me like I was interesting and valuable, not like I was someone whose purpose was to solve other people's problems. There was also a woman around my age named Sarah who was hiking alone after ending a toxic relationship. We ended up hiking together for 2 days, and she told me about how she had finally learned to put herself first after years of trying to make everyone else happy. Her story resonated with me deeply, but all good things must come to an end, and eventually I had to return to reality. When I turned my phone back on after 4 days of blissful silence, I had 37 missed calls, 42 text messages, and 6 voicemails. The messages told a story that was both predictable and satisfying. Madison's vacation had imploded spectacularly on Sunday afternoon when Angela showed up at the resort with 2 police officers. Derek had been arrested for custodial interference and for violating a restraining order that Angela had filed before he disappeared. His children had been returned to their mother, and Madison had been left alone at the resort with her 3 kids, trying to figure out how to explain to everyone back home that her perfect new boyfriend was actually a lying, cheating, kidnapping criminal. My parents had been forced to wire Madison money to extend her stay at the resort while she figured out how to get home, since Derek had been paying for most of their expenses and was now sitting in a South Carolina jail cell. But the crisis had not stopped there. My father's recovery had not gone as smoothly as expected. He had developed an infection at his surgical site and needed to go back to the hospital. My mother, who had been counting on me to help with his care, had panicked when she realized I was nowhere to be found. Brandon had been forced to cancel his plans for the weekend to come home and help with the family emergencies. He was not happy about it, and he had made that very clear in several angry text messages. The voicemails were a mix of panic, anger, and desperation. My mother's voice got increasingly frantic as the days went on, and I did not respond. By the final voicemail, she was crying and begging me to call her back because she did not know how to handle everything that was happening. But the text message that caught my attention was from Madison herself, sent late Monday night after Derek had been arrested. "Jessica, I know you are probably mad at me right now, but I need you to know that I had no idea Derek was married. He lied to me about everything. I feel stupid and used and embarrassed. I am sorry for the things I said to you on the phone. I know I messed up, and I know you sacrificed your vacation for me. I need to come home, but I do not have enough money for gas and food for the drive. Can you please help me? I promise I will pay you back this time. I love you." Reading that message, I felt a complicated mix of emotions. Part of me felt vindicated that Madison's perfect vacation had turned into a disaster. Part of me felt bad that she had been deceived by Derek. And part of me was angry that even in the middle of her crisis, she was still asking me to rescue her. I drove home Tuesday morning feeling refreshed and clear-headed in a way I had not felt in years. The mountain air and peaceful days had given me perspective, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. When I walked into my parents' house, my mother practically collapsed with relief. "Jessica, where have you been?" she cried, hugging me tightly. "I have been so worried. Your father is back in the hospital, Madison is stranded in South Carolina, and I have been trying to handle everything by myself." I looked at her calmly and said, "I went on vacation." "What do you mean you went on vacation?" she asked, confusion replacing relief on her face. "I mean I went on the vacation that I planned and saved for, just like I originally intended to do," I explained. "I booked a backup trip months ago because I suspected that something like this might happen." My mother stared at me like I had grown a second head. "You knew this was going to happen." "I knew that Madison would find a way to turn my vacation into something that benefited her more than me," I said. "I knew that you and Dad would pressure me to give up what I wanted for what she needed. And I knew that no matter how much I sacrificed, it would never be enough and never be appreciated." "Jessica, I cannot believe you would be so deceptive," my mother said, her voice rising. "We needed you here. Your father needed you here." "Dad's surgery went fine," I replied calmly. "He had a minor complication that required medical care, not me sitting by his bedside. And as for Madison, she made her own choices about how to spend that vacation. The consequences of those choices are not my responsibility." My mother looked shocked that I was not immediately apologizing and jumping into fix-everything mode. Brandon, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, finally spoke up. "So you are just going to let Madison sit there in South Carolina with no way to get home?" he asked incredulously. "Madison is a 32-year-old adult woman," I said. "She has a job, a credit card, and a phone. If she needs help getting home, she can figure it out the same way any other adult would." "I cannot believe you are being so selfish," my mother said, and there was that word again. Selfish. The word they used every time I did not immediately sacrifice myself for someone else's benefit. "You know what?" I said, feeling a surge of strength and clarity that I had never felt before. "Maybe I am being selfish. Maybe it is selfish to expect my family to respect my time, my money, and my feelings. Maybe it is selfish to want to keep the vacation I planned and paid for. Maybe it is selfish to expect people to keep their promises and tell me the truth." I paused and looked at each of them in turn. But if that is what selfish looks like, then I guess I am fine with being selfish. Because what I am not fine with anymore is being treated like my feelings do not matter, like my sacrifices are expected and never appreciated, and like my role in this family is to fix everyone else's problems while ignoring my own needs. The room was completely silent. I had never spoken to my family like that before, and I could see that they did not know how to respond. "From now on," I continued, "things are going to be different. I am not going to be the automatic backup plan when things go wrong. I am not going to sacrifice my happiness for someone else's convenience. And I am not going to feel guilty for prioritizing my own well-being." "You are willing to destroy this family over a vacation?" my father asked from the hospital bed. "I am not destroying anything," I said quietly. "I am just refusing to let myself be destroyed anymore." I helped arrange for someone else to stay with my father during his recovery. I sent Madison enough money to get home safely, but I made it clear that it was a one-time assistance and that I expected to be paid back. And I moved out of the cycle of constant family crisis management that had defined my life for so long. Some people in my family eventually came to understand and respect my new boundaries. Others continued to see me as selfish and difficult. But for the first time in my life, I was okay with their disappointment because I was finally not disappointed in myself. I learned that you really do teach people how to treat you, and I had been teaching my family that my feelings and needs did not matter. When I started treating myself with respect, some of them learned to do the same. The ones who did not were showing me who they really were, and I was finally ready to believe them. The vacation I took in the mountains was not the ocean view suite I had originally planned, but it was exactly what I needed. It was the first time I had ever put myself first without apologizing for it, and it changed everything about how I saw myself and what I was willing to accept from other people. Sometimes the best vacation is not about where you go, but about who you become when you finally stop running toward people who are walking away from you. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a situation where your family expected you to sacrifice for someone else? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below, and please hit that like button if this story resonated with you. Do not forget to subscribe for more stories like this one, and share this with someone who might need to hear that it is okay to put yourself first sometimes. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have learned something about the importance of setting boundaries and respecting yourself. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup, so make sure you are taking care of yourself first. I will see you in the next video.